All right, jumping into our finance news. Hold on to your fucking butts. You thought last week was rocky when they bailed out the Silicon Valley Bank. It's looking like Credit Suisse is actually in the process as we speak of a aggressive takeover by UBS. Credit Suisse has been around for 150 years, unbelievably. And all it took was a couple, banks, greedy banks, to ruin that entire 150-year legacy. Let's be clear: the people that are in charge of Credit Suisse are, they probably have very little to do with the old guard, the old Credit Suisse guard, who would actually give a shit that their 150-year legacy has been destroyed by some greed happening in a different country. But that's what happens. That's what happens when you get way over leveraged. You play games with other people's money. When the government allows you to get away with those things, this is what happens. So I really don't feel bad for Credit Suisse, y'all. Fuck off. Should George Bush's legacy that he got 200,000 people killed? At a minimum, 200,000 people, Lenny. At a minimum. The estimates of Iraqi civilian dead are close to 1 million. Independent estimates are closer to 1 million people. They didn't need to be so deep on one bank. I guess that return was too good to say no. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, Silicon Valley Bank was like, until the news hit that it was going under, it was like, yeah, no, like, surefire bet. We didn't have any concerns whatsoever. I guess there was a little bit of a lead up, right, with Peter Thiel and everything on social media, but it was all smooth sailing, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. And that's exactly how it works with these guys, because they're all fucking crooks. They're all doing illegal shit they shouldn't be doing. But let's go ahead and take a look at this here. What is up with this video player? It's all screwy.
Where the president of the Swiss
I don't know why her mic is over on the left side like that.
Confederation is holding a news conference after emergency talks to rescue Switzerland's second largest
you're likely the
bank.
bag holder.
It's just been announced that UBS, Switzerland's second,
we'll see, Lenny.
Switzerland's first bank, the biggest bank in Switzerland, will take over Credit Suisse, which is in trouble. They've been meeting for some time now, since Wednesday. In fact, initially Wednesday of last week, the Swiss National Bank offered a $54 billion lifeline to Credit Suisse, but that failed to reassure the market. A bank which is deemed too big to fail. Well, now the Swiss government announcing that UBS, Switzerland's biggest bank, will take over Credit Suisse.
So they were able to put the genie back in the bottle on Sunday last weekend. Like right before the markets opened, they announced, okay, we're bailing everyone out. The bank is going down. That's fine. But all the depositors, even over 200,000, you're good, because all these startups were like, we can't make payroll. You had all of our money and it's all gone. Like literally, like if the government didn't make that announcement, there was like hundreds of startup companies that would have been like, we're out of business. We're done. We're bankrupt, dude. Fucking burp, 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 burp. You know what I mean? Fucking bankrupt, dog. Done. So Janet Yellen came in and backed them up. And it's looking like the Swiss government is doing the same thing here. But the markets don't. They were going to be chill. I don't think they're going to be so chill tomorrow.
Let's speak to Frances Coppola about this. She's
Frances Ford Coppola, huh?
A commentator and economist, and is joining us from Kent in the UK. Thank you so much for being with us. What do you make first of this announcement today by the Swiss authorities that UBS will be taking over Credit Suisse? Was this expected?
Rootin' tootin'.
I think it was. And indeed, I think something like this has been on the cards for a few months now, really since Credit Suisse got into difficulties last autumn. It's been suffering outflows of deposits for really quite some months now, and it was difficult to see how it could be resolved in any way that didn't involve some kind of takeover.
Explain to us why Credit Suisse got in trouble in the first place. Why is Switzerland's biggest bank?
Oh, and UBS is making out like a bandit on this too. Apparently the stock price on Friday was like $1.50 or something, and they're offering like 30 cents or 40 cents a share to take it over. So they're very excited about this acquisition, I'm sure.
Second biggest bank, in fact, being rescued today. What happened?
Well, I think really, I mean, Credit Suisse's problems go back some years. It's got involved in all manner of deals that it shouldn't have done, you know, like Mozambique tuna bonds, and it lost a lot of money when Bill Hwang's Archegos empire collapsed, and it also got itself muddled up in Greensill. And so that not only cost it money, and it's got a lot of lawsuits coming.
Yeah, line cut. That's a good point. That I'm going to take your word on that one because I've heard some financial analysis before the stream, and they were saying something similar that that the government would really prefer to have another bank do this instead of the government coming in because of confidence in the market
coming down the road, which might cost it even more money. But it helped to destroy confidence in the bank. And the thing about Swiss banking is that, you know, it's
all about confidence. The whole thing is run on fucking magic and feelings. It's wildly unsustainable. But because it gets a couple people rich, we got to plug everything into it, and our whole lives are run by it. I'm being cynical and glib, but it's almost true.
You know, integrity and security and trust. And the moment you've got things like this going on in something associated with the Swiss bank, you're kind of destroying the brand. So it was difficult to see how it could continue on its current basis with its investment bank, with all these other things attached to it. It needed to find a solution.
It's interesting that you talk about the brand there, because we have the Swiss government.
Oh, it was in my contract. I deserve it. I worked so hard. I deserve that golden parachute.
And saying just now that they consider these measures to be the most appropriate solution to strengthening both market confidence in Credit Suisse and also the Swiss financial center.
Okay. Yep.
Do you think this rescue will work?
Yeah. Okay. Good question.
Yes, I think it probably will, if only because the Swiss government has a great deal invested in making sure that it does work, and because the buyer is UBS, which
they're closing the markets early. I guarantee you, there's going to be such a big dip that they're going to cut off trading for a couple hours and then turn it back on tomorrow. Guarantee it.
Similarly, has a lot riding on this, because if it doesn't work, then UBS and Swiss Bank and the Swiss government, you know, have a real problem with you know what their financial system kind of stands for. So I think it will work. There's an open question now about how they will handle the investment bank, which is arguably the source of all the problems.
Yeah.
What are they going to do with it? Are they going to try and spin it off? Are they going to close it down? What are they going to do with it? I don't think that's.
I mean, because that's the unwritten contract that these, you know, corrupt politicians and the oligarchs and the corporate entities, they kind of have with the public. There's this unwritten agreement that, okay, yeah, we're corrupt. We'll start wars, you know, we'll fuck you over 3 ways to Sunday when it comes to healthcare and food and everything else. But, you know, consumer goods will be available. Like you can, you know, it'll be kind of shitty and things are expensive, but you do get to live a, you know, somewhat comfortable middle-class lifestyle. You get your cell phones, you get your Netflix, you get your big screen TVs, you know, you get your $30,000, $40,000 car, right? And we get to fuck you over. Hey, Daddy Dennis, so you found the right fucking channel. But that's kind of the unwritten social contract between the corrupt politicians and the people, is that they'll at the very least get some creature comforts. Oh no, you got the sad cringe. Oh, poor Alinity, or whatever the hell her name is. Amaranth. That one's Amaranth.
Resolved yet.
Yeah, Francis, also this is coming as the health of the global financial system is in doubt right now.
Yeah.
Last week we saw.
So if this part of the social contract is broken, then they really do fear losing control of the, you know, the stupids that just kind of go along to get along, which is the grand majority of people. No offense to the grand majority of people that aren't paying attention and don't know what I just said.
The failure of 2 American banks. Are we likely to see a repeat of the 2008 financial crisis here?
No.
No, I don't think we are. I mean, I think the problem in America is to do with their mid-sized regional banks. It's largely contained to America. I know things travel on Twitter these days, so things that ought to be contained to America have a tendency to go global. But we should remember that our banking system generally is far safer and better firewalled than it was in 2008. And also
Sure.
that central banks actually are on the ball on this one, both in America and in Europe.
If Monday opens up with a bunch of other announcements of bank closures, you know, in other places, then yes, there will be major chaos. But if it's just this bank and then everyone just kind of looks around and nothing happens, then they will go back to business as usual.
We've seen regulators step up really quite quickly to stop any kind of disorderly collapse or contagion. And this merger is happening over a weekend with the intention of it being a done deal by Monday morning so that we don't get contagion into the wider financial system.
Oh, boy.
Thank you very much for talking to us.
Someone's working overnight. All right, so there you go. Got one more link here pertaining to this just to get a different perspective on this, but it's probably similar.
Dear Vice Chancellor of the Confederation, ladies and gentlemen, the Federal Council had an extraordinary meeting today to discuss the situation of Credit Suisse. This is the fourth session held by the government in 4 days.
Indeed,
Three of
Lenny.
those days were dedicated exclusively to this topic. The situation is well known. Credit Suisse is one of the 30 systemic global banks. It's one of the two major banks in the country, and its destiny, therefore, is not only decisive for Switzerland, our businesses.
I will say, though, it is a sign of some kind of stability if a too big to fail bank can actually be absorbed, right? And can the damage can be contained within enough time for the market to just to shrug it off. That is a kind of stability in all this chaos. So they're probably interested in making this happen successfully so that it will restore confidence in the markets.
Its private customers and its employees, but also essential for the stability of the whole financial sector.
Until it isn't, right, Zeoduke? But yeah, I mean, as long as someone is willing to say that the fucking music is still playing, as long as there's idiots and dupes in the market, as long as there's a sucker, the market will be fine.
The Credit Suisse situation has been a source of concern for a few months, and this is why the Federal Council has had discussions on several occasions on this, and had contact with FINMA and the Banque Nationale Suisse. In recent days, a number of financial markets have been rocked by the situation. A number of fragile banks have been made more fragile, and despite.
I mean, the fact is, Daddy Dennis, that I think U.S. bonds, are considered the last bastion of safety and stability. It's going to take quite a bit of damage to the dollar and the U.S. economy to do in the U.S. bonds, because even during 2008 we saw people just running to the dollar, even though there was a lot of doubt. All right, this guy is boring me. You want the whole fucking thing? It's right here. You want the long and short of it? Strap in for Monday. Do what you can to protect yourself financially if you can. I don't think interest rates are going to be going down anytime soon, because everyone thinks the solution to this problem is for the middle class, the lower middle class, to have less money, have less opportunity. Heaven forbid we go after the profiteers, we go after the people with mountains of money. We can't do that. Can't tax the rich. Can't do any profit. Can't shave any profits or go after excessive profits. Can't do any of that. So basically, you just got to suck it up there, motherfucker. But anyway, that's your finance update. Thank you so much, YouTube.